This is the Worldwide Travel Podcast. My name is Dave Canyon, and I am here in New York, in the United States of America. And I'm joined by two members of the team that could make it right now. One is Luke. Luke is the founder of this show, and he is in Milton Keynes, right? The United Kingdom.
Yes.
Milton Keynes, an interesting part of the world I just learned about the other day. And also we're joined by Elsa. Elsa, say hello. And where are you right now again? Tell everybody where you are.
Hello. I am in the UAE. My name is Elsa, and I am now currently in Dubai. And here we go.
Okay, there you go. UAE, United Arab Emirates. That's for just in case people don't know. I'm bad with initials. People throw out initials all the time. I don't know what those are. Then I have to spend time looking it up. All right, so this is the Worldwide Travel Podcast. This is the third episode we've done. And every week it's something different, whether it's a technical problem, logistical problem, a guest here, not here, whatever it is, it's podcasting. So the three of us are going to do the best we can. Yes, we're representing and we're going to talk about travel. Luke, you're a little bit under the weather, so we'll do the best we can to utilize you, and you'll talk when you want to. When you don't, just put your hand aside. I have nothing to say in this matter, but you have a message really about travel. You have a mission. You have an idea of why you started this. Why don't you share that with everybody?
I want to use this platform we have to dispel some myths, really, around why did we not travel to this country? Why don't we go there? People have myths and misconceptions about some places in the world. Well, right. I have my own misconceptions as well about India, as we spoke about last week.
Interesting. All right, myths. So people say things, you hear things, you read things, and you feel like that might not be true, and then it gets repeated, and then it becomes true, and that presents a problem for yourself.
As you said, Chinese whispers, and then people start believing it as fact.
There you go. All right, so maybe we'll get into that a little bit if we have time. Elsa, what makes you want to be a part of the Worldwide Travel Podcast?
It's because it's part of my experience, and my experience of travel is a bit different from the classical touristic, hey, let's see this and let's see that and let's see that, because basically I travel mostly for work, which gives me a totally different experience, a totally different perspective from it, and a totally different vision from it. So yeah, I wanted to be part of it because I want to share this different part that I get to experience too.
That's fascinating. That's right. You've traveled already right now for this appearance of the show. And you just shared with us before we hit the button that you're going to be traveling tomorrow for work. You have this whole day you have this long trip, several hours using public transportation, then working, and then you have to get back to where you are, but you're not going back to home. You're going back to where you are now. And then at some point you'll go back home.
Right.
Right.
You're right.
So right. So with that in mind, when you travel and it's not for work, do you look forward to that? Do you look forward do you look forward to taking a holiday? I don't know what you would say. Here in America we call it a vacation. Do you look forward to traveling via any particular mode to get away and to go somewhere, or are you always does your experience make you more of a homebody? I guess that's what I'm trying to. Tell me about that effect of traveling for work that has on your life.
It's quite interesting because yes, actually, at a certain point, you feel like, okay, I need some stability. In my vacation time, I just want to spend either some time on the beach, doing absolutely nothing, or swimming, eating a bit, and drinking some beer. I would say that. Or just stay home in my bed, pampering myself and just settle down, because when I travel for work, so you have in our case we have the work outfits and then the tourist mode outfits, because you have to be dressed up for work, etc. I'm a conference interpreter, so I travel in several parts of the world doing that, which makes it great because hey, I get paid to travel and my travels are free. But it also comes with its challenges. Yes, I mean, I mean, you have big, big suitcases. Like, you know those memes about those big, big suitcases for like 4 days, and you're like having those full, fully fledged, I don't know what they call them. This is what happens to me, but for a reason, not because I'm a bit, I'm extravagant. It's because you have this type of clothes, this type of clothes, this type of shoes, this type of shoes, because you cannot wear both of them in the same place. We have our workout clothes, we have our all of that accessories. Sometimes we have to go with our laptops, with our headsets. For example, here it is, because we have to also interpret online, and sometimes it gets very, very messy. So while you live out of the suitcase, I personally would prefer, like, okay, when I have nothing, I really want to have nothing to do. So yeah, that's
Wow.
me.
Wow. That is quite the insight, isn't that, Luke? Because as men, we
Yeah.
don't have we have something to learn from Elsa. I mean, I don't tra- I don't think we travel nearly as complicated and as fully stocked as Elsa or other women do. Yeah, I mean, because you have your products, you have your
Yeah.
hair, right? Your clothing. It's a lot for you to consider. And men, one pair of underwear, one pair of socks, maybe, a pair of pants. Like, we don't care. Most of us are pretty like one little bag and we're done. But that's an interesting perspective that you have to carry that around. And also you're gone. You're away from home for like a week now, right? You are where you are for many days. Is that
Yeah,
correct?
that's very, very true. Yeah, around a week or something
Yeah.
like that. Now, men
Yeah.
interpreters as well,
Yeah.
they have their shoes to carry with them, so and the other shoes. So, but I mean, it is what it is. This is how our life is, and at a certain point, I chose it and I signed up for it, and I'm very happy doing it,
Right. Right.
but not
Right.
all the time.
Luke, you just went to right, not all the time. No, I get that. That's it's the way it is. Luke, you just traveled to Brazil with
Yeah.
your lovely wife, and
Yeah.
you visited family for the first time. How do you consider yourself as a traveler? Do you travel heavy? Do you travel light? Do you tend to overpack or underpack? And what's your mentality? What's your thinking when you're packing for a trip like Brazil or even a weekend? What does it look like
Well,
for you?
we've just booked today to go to Budapest um, in August, and we're taking just hand luggage. We're just taking one small bag with like a week's worth of clothes, and that's enough for us. We're not taking big 30-kilogram suitcases or anything like that.
Right.
When we went to Brazil, we had an allocated, I think, 23 kilograms, but it was like half full. It was just basically we don't need any big clothes with us. We had shorts, t-shirts, a couple of flip-flops. It's all we needed, really.
Right. No evening wear. There was no fancy going
No,
out stuff.
no.
Right. And you traveled with your wife, so she's traveling as light as you are. You're both sort of together on that with the
Yeah,
the easy packing.
yeah.
That's interesting. Yeah. My wife brings stuff with her. She's more of a heavy. She's way more prepared than I am. I'm a toothbrush. I'm a toothbrush and an airplane ticket, and I can go. But it's easy. It's just different when you're a man. And I don't go to destinations and spend money there buying underwear and socks and stuff like that. I mean, I do travel with stuff. I'm going to Gainesville, Florida, the second weekend in March, and I'll be gone for about a week. And yeah, I will try to bring just enough for those days, but there won't be any evening. I'm working as well. I'll be working somewhere, but I'll be wearing stuff like this. In fact, I will be wearing a shirt exactly like this. It'll be all red, and it'll say security right here, and that's it. And that's all I'll be doing. It's just there's nothing for me to do except wear a shirt. That's my job. People ask me, what do I do? And I say, they pay me to wear a shirt, and I stand there, and people walk by me and they see me. That's the guy with the shirt, and it says security on it. But I don't really do anything. I just stand there. It's kind of funny, but I get paid for it, which is nice, and I get to participate in the event that's occurring at that time. So that'll be fun. So, Elsa, you work, travel. How many days out of the year, 365 days, how many days out of the year do you travel for work? And what is like, tell us like your furthest travel or like your easiest travel. Give us a little insight as to Elsa's work travels.
Uh, for me to find an average or like a number, it's hard because like it happens by seasons, and you have seasons where we traveled one time. In 3 months I traveled like 10 or 11 times, just like that. Um, back and forth, back and forth. It was between Lebanon and Oman. Um, this year I traveled also a couple times. Um, and so, yeah, I have a good, oh my God, it's really hard to, it's really hard to calculate the number of days where I have to travel for work, whether it's within the country or whether it's outside the country. But what I can say is that for now it's like around 5 days a month, something like that. So which is quite
Okay.
which is quite a lot.
That sounds like a
Yeah.
lot to me. 5 days a month you travel. And, but when you do travel and you're taking a long distance, it's usually for several days, or do you travel and it's one day and you come back? I'm assuming it's always a
Um,
conference, so it's like 2 days, three
yeah.
days, weekends too.
Yeah, yeah, we don't have weekends, we don't have holidays, we don't have all of that privilege maybe other professions may have, because like we depend a lot on events and when they happen. And yes, sometimes it can be not only a 1 day conference, it can be a half-day conference. And sometimes it's like a 5 day, 6 day, sometimes 10 days. And one of the times I went for like 25 working days. So like 40 days or 35 days in total. So it can range from, sometimes it was even for an hour, but it happens.
Wow. Wow.
And yeah,
All right. So go ahead.
yeah, that was all I was going to say.
All right. No, 5 days, 5 days a month is a lot. It seems like a lot to me. But
Yeah,
so, Luke, when you traveled on vacation to Brazil, you were there for, I think it was a week, 8 days,
yeah.
nights, something like that. So, but now you're going to Budapest. How long will you be in Budapest for?
We booked 6 days, but Budapest is not our next trip. We're going to
Oh,
Switzerland in June. Is our next one.
all right. Switzerland, June. You're burying the lead. All right. Our guest is here. So let's just finish that. So good. So, Alexandra, welcome to the show. We already started because just we needed to get going. And we're just talking about vacations that we've taken or travel that we're doing. And Luke is Switzerland in June and Budapest in August. I'm sure we're
Yes.
going to be talking about that a lot more in the near future. All right. So let's welcome Alexandra. Actually, Luke, you're the only one out of the three of us that knows of Alexandra. Why don't you
Yeah.
introduce her?
So I was speaking with Alexandra on Facebook. She's from Romania, and you still live in Romania, Alexandra.
Yeah, yeah, I still live in Romania. Yeah.
Which city do you live?
I live in Cluj. You probably know it for the music festival. It's very popular. Well, actually, there's two of them. I suppose the bigger one is Untold, and then there's a smaller one, I suppose, Electric Castle, that happens somewhere near Cluj. But first of all, let me just apologize for being so late. I had some tech issues that I needed to sort out, so really, really sorry about that. I didn't mean to be a diva and just, leave everyone waiting. Such a bad first impression, so I'm really sorry about that.
That's okay. So I have a few questions about Cluj.
Sure.
Um, so I have this. If you can
Right.
see this.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So this is something strange that I saw about Cluj. That if you do squats in 20 squats, you get a free train ticket.
Yeah, free bus ticket. We don't really
Free
have
bus ticket.
we don't have a train here. It's actually a running joke in Romania that Cluj doesn't really have an underground, And so everybody asked us that that's been the plan for the city for the past, I don't know how many years, that we should get a tube, and we just never do. And there's always this big project, and yeah, Bucharest always asked us for that. But yeah, that's true. You do get a bus ticket for, in exchange, I suppose, of 20 squats. But that's just one bus station, downtown.
Yeah.
But yeah, it actually works. Yeah, it's an interesting issue. I never tried it, as I never really take the bus from that station, to be honest. but yeah, it's actually, yeah, it's true.
And you've travelled all around Romania to all the big cities as well.
Yeah. I have. Recently I haven't traveled that much. I mean, I've traveled to Bucharest because you kind of have to travel to Bucharest to kind of get anywhere else. Since if you wanna take a plane to a more quote unquote exotic destination, you have to go through Bucharest. But yeah, I have. Throughout my life, I've been to all of the big cities, I think, and some smaller ones that are in that. I guess they aren't on the map, just for international tourists just yet.
So, have you ever been to Moldova?
So there's a distinction that we need to make when it comes to Moldova, because there's a historic region of Romania that's called Moldova, which is actually where I was born. And then there's the Republic, right, of Moldova, which is a separate country altogether, which does share a common history with Romania, but currently they're just two separate entities. So to that I haven't been, which is actually very funny because my hometown is right on the border with the Republic of Moldova. But sometimes it's one of those things where it's so close, and you just have this idea that, well, I can go anytime, right? So yeah, I'll just leave it for later. So I haven't really been there, but if you're talking about the historic region of Moldova, then yeah, I was born there, and yeah, I visited it extensively.
It's quite funny because I read Moldova is the least visited country in Europe, and if Romania's not going there, then who's going there?
That's a good point. I didn't know that. It really is the least visited country in Europe. That's interesting. I think that they're not part of the European Union, so it's a bit more complicated to travel there. And if you have other options where you don't really have to go through all of the administrative headache, then yeah, probably a lot of people just leaving it, for later, as I did. So.
Well, I understand you on that point because I haven't been to Ireland myself, so
really,
as you, I'm leaving it for later, the same as you. So
you've never been before. That's so funny.
Well, it's the same thing. That's the same thing for me here in New York. People who live in New York City, many people never go see the Statue of Liberty because we see it when we're driving around. We just see it. Oh, there it is, Statue of Liberty. And it's just one of those things that tourists will do. Statue of Liberty, the Empire State Building, the Freedom Towers now. Back in the day, the Empire State Building. So a lot of us will just drive by and go, there it is, and that's fine. We saw it. We don't need to stand online and spend all that money. And then you get to the top, you go, well, yeah, here we are. And then it's an elevator ride, and then it's a lot of time. It's a lot of money and time. So that's really interesting. Hey, Alexandra, can I ask you a question? I'm looking. Sure. I'm always claiming being an ignorant American. I don't know where anything else is in the world. So every time we have a guest or somebody, they say a city or a country, I have to look it up on my phone. So I have it in my hand. So yeah, Moldova is on your border. Hungary, Serbia, Bulgaria, right? So that's basically it. Are you on good terms with all those countries? Because Moldova is on the border of Ukraine. So I'm just curious, what is it like in that region?
Well, good terms. Right now, at this point in history, sure, everybody's on good terms with everybody. So, we can, obviously you have some, I guess, friction, but it's more at the level of just making fun of each other, Not really anything serious. But since you mentioned Ukraine, like when the conflict started, yeah, that was a very intense period for us here as well, because Romania has also had a very very complicated history with Russia, and so a lot of people here were expecting that Romania would kind of be next, one way or another. So there was a lot of there was a lot of tension, and obviously people were very very concerned. And then when we actually started seeing seeing refugees coming in from Ukraine, and especially like for instance in my hometown, right? Because my hometown is right on the border with both Ukraine and Moldova, and they actually, I mean, we actually received a lot of refugees. So it was like, it was real, you know. It wasn't like something you just see on the news and it's like far away. So yeah, there was a very very intense period, but yeah, you know, it's we're on good terms right now at this point in history. Of course, it wasn't always the case, right? but Romania is also a very young country, right? So it just had like 100 and something years, right? 1918. That's when it officially became what it is today. Yeah.
So when you travel for fun, you travel for vacation, or do you work travel? What's your main travel?
I think, you know, it's. I've never traveled for work per se. I've never had a job that would actually, come with those requirements that I travel. But I do work remote. I have been working remote since before it became sort of like in the news and everybody started doing it and companies started offering it. So I was doing it before that, but of course when I was sort of doing a hybrid type thing, and then when the full remote part actually became more and more popular, that's kind of when I started traveling. So I was a digital nomad for a couple of years, and other than that, yeah, it's mostly for fun. Mostly for curiosity. I'm just a very curious person. I just want to see how people live in different parts of the world, and how they do everyday stuff. So like, I like to just be. You know what I mean? Like to just see what it's like to go to the doctor in whatever Greece, or what is it like to get a tailored shirt. So, like just a regular everyday stuff. It's not really. I mean, obviously, I do all of the touristy things, so to speak, and I do really enjoy history. So I've seen, I do go to the archaeological sites and all that. But it's also just being there, just be there and just see, like I said, how people live. What's their day-to-day life like. That's kind of my thing, I guess.
Right, Luke.
So I've never been to Romania, but from what I've done, from the research I've done this week, it's a very underrated country. It's very beautiful. They have a lot of like lakes and rivers and forests in Romania.
Yeah, we do, and I think it's. Of course, I'm going to be subjective, right? And it's a cultural thing. As a Romanian, it's a cultural thing to kind of. Downplay everything that you have, in your country, to kind of say, there's better places to visit. Why come here? So we have that. It's a bit of a, it's embedded in our culture, I guess, to be, always complaining and always dissatisfied with what we have and never seeing like how beautiful it is, I suppose. So I don't know if I can, say yes, it is underrated. It probably is, but just from the way that I was brought up and from the, this cultural aspect that really, really emphasizes this, need to downplay everything. I don't really know what to say. I mean, it definitely has some beauty, like there are some stunning, like even for me, like even with this perspective, there are some stunning, there's some stunning scenery, especially, I mean, obviously everybody's going to have their own preference, right? But when it comes to the mountainside, we have some beautiful, beautiful scenery, if you're into that. But yes, definitely, at least if you're a curious person, if I didn't live here and, I didn't really know a lot. Where I wouldn't really know a lot about the Romania. Yeah, I would also want to see it. I also want to see if it's true that it's underrated. I guess. Yeah. So I don't know if that answers your question. Is it underrated? I don't know.
But
Probably.
as you said that wherever you live, you do kind of take it for granted.
Yeah.
As you said, like I live in the UK and I'm like, oh, it's always raining. I want to go to Italy. I want to go to Turkey. I want to go to a different country to see,
Yeah.
like you said as well.
But I think a good way to kind of, to kind of sort of escape that cultural, I think, limitation, so to speak, is to actually go and live in those other countries that you maybe admire, or you deem, oh, it's so beautiful. Italy is just stunning, all the scenery. Just go live there for a while, and that will kind of put things into perspective. You're gonna realize that the same problems that you have back home that kind of didn't allow you to see the beauty that you have back home, those same problems persist in other countries that from a distance you maybe put on a pedestal, and then that kind of tends to balance things out a little. Yeah. Sorry, I can't really hear you. Is it just
You're on mute, Dave.
Okay. So, Alexander, my apologies. So, Alexandra, Elsa's here, and she probably, Elsa, you've never been to Romania?
No, never.
Never?
Never before.
All right. So, Alexandra, here you go. You're on the Romania Chamber of Commerce and Tourism Bureau. Share with Elsa. Elsa, come to my country. It's underrated, but I'm going to tell you what's great. How long should she stay? A reasonable amount of time, obviously. But how long should she stay, and what is she going to do? Share with Elsa, your good friend.
Well, Elsa, my good friend, I think it really depends a lot on why you travel, so to speak, right? Because I know people who travel mainly for the food. I never thought that that's something that people do, but there's a lot of people who actually will. They say, like, I'll follow my taste buds, right? So I think that the answer to the question depends on your internal motivation. If you like, if you're someone who likes hiking and things like that, it's going to be one answer. If you're someone who likes more like and interested in history, the answer is going to be different. So first of all, Elsa, my question for you is, what is your internal motivation for traveling?
I love to see nature.
Okay. Do you have any preferences in terms of, I don't know, seaside, mountains? What is your, or it doesn't really play a role?
It doesn't really matter. So one day I would love to see the mountains. The other day I would love to see the beach. It's really different, or something that happens in nature that's really like that has a particular peculiarity or something like that. Also, is a very interesting thing that I like to do is how you were saying, like, you want to do the everyday things with the locals. For me, it's how you sleep, wake up, and take your breakfast, and what's your the morning routine. I don't know why I'm focusing on the morning routine, but the morning routine for it. So yeah.
No, I think that's great because we all. I think I also have that. When I travel, there's certain things that I want to try out, right? Like you mentioned the morning routine. Like I also have, I guess, a set of specifics that are just that they matter only for me. Well, first of all, since you've mentioned nature, I mean, that's great because, like Romania, usually when we do, in a rare occasions, when we do actually promote our country, or we do actually to put it in a positive light, we do talk about that a lot, right? About like the beautiful scenery and about the fact that we have the sea and we have the mountains, and you can see both in Romania, and you actually can, and there are some specific parts of Romania that are, like I was mentioning earlier, they're really stunning. And for instance, Bukovina, which is like in the northern part of the historical region of Moldova, it's like right at the border with Ukraine. It's safe to go, even though it doesn't sound like it would be right now. But actually, it's fine to go. You can you have this beautiful scenery, but you also get to experience just a very peaceful life. Like since you mentioned the morning routine, I remember being there many years ago and being in a sort of remote village. I mean, not that remote. It's not like you're not in. You can still go to like a. You still have like a town, somewhere nearby. It's not that remote, but you go to this village and there's people still living in a more traditional way, and it's just so peaceful. You can everything is still, and you can just be, So like if you're into that type of combining, right? If you also find not necessarily like a spiritual, but if you're also into like mindfulness, and if you also use traveling as a way to sort of to also have that type of experience, then there are parts of Romania that really where you can really have that, So like the northern part of the historical region of Moldova is one of them, and then it's here's the thing, like to sort of go back a little bit and answer the how many days would you need. The thing is, this is not, our country is not that big of a country, right? You can basically see it in, you can see like, I would say maybe 2 weeks if you like really want to take your time and, see some major, see some major tourist attractions. That would probably be enough. The thing is that the infrastructure is, because now I have to like go back into the complaining, and I'm downplaying it right now. The thing is that you will kind of spend a lot of time on the road, right? Because our infrastructure is not that doesn't really allow for easy, transfer between like different regions, and that will probably be more time consuming. Sorry.
Wow. That's okay. Alexandra, so you mentioned food. So there's Romanian food we can look forward to, breakfast, lunch, and dinner? Or how does that work in Romania as far as eating? What are we looking forward to? 3 meals a day, for sure?
No, I mean, it depends on who you ask, right? Romania is not immune to, all of the trends that you hear from all sorts of like gurus, like nutrition gurus, and we like, for instance, like for me, like I do intermittent fasting, right? So you're not gonna have breakfast, lunch, and dinner at my house.
Okay, all right, right.
But no.
But a guy like me that likes to eat. I'm waking up in the morning. It's 8 o'clock. I want to get going. I have FOMO. I have fear of missing out. So I can find a cafe in the center of town. I'm going to have eggs and bacon or sausage. What am I? What's the animal of choice and what's the food of choice in the morning? Yeah.
The animal of choice. That's a very interesting question, actually. I don't think that we have like a Romanian morning, like a breakfast.
Really?
Yeah, that's not a.
Doesn't sound like you have fast food either. You don't have fast food there. You don't have McDonald's and Kentucky Fried Chicken.
No, we do, of course.
You do?
Yeah, of course.
That you have. They found that. Romania, out of all the things, underrated, poor infrastructure. We don't promote ourselves, but we have McDonald's. Are you serious?
We do have it. Yeah, it's been many years since we've had it. And I remember like when it first opened up, it was such a huge event. Like everybody.
Sure.
There were queues for like we do have it, and a lot of people enjoy it. But we actually enjoy, like when it comes to fast food, since you mentioned that, people here really like shawarma, like more and kebab and things like that, because Romania was actually for a long period of time right under the Ottoman Empire, and so some parts of like that, and we're actually like really close, obviously geographically, right, to that part of the world as well. So we really enjoy that type of food, and
Do we have New York style pizza? Slices?
I mean, we do, but it's probably not like we actually because we do spend like Italy is one of the destinations like most loved, adored destinations for Romanians, and we do try to be as faithful as possible to the Italian pizza. So it's not going to be New York style. it's gonna try
Okay.
to like more.
Okay. So you have a variety of restaurants. It's not going to be in the center of town. Okay. That sounds good. It's safe. I'm not going to starve.
Oh, no.
Dave gets hungry. Dave needs to eat. So just,
You're not
you
gonna
know.
starve. No, we're not gonna
Okay.
starve. Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
Sounds good. So, but Luke has a thing with the people he knows that because he's in the UK, they're always going to Spain. So you just said that people in Romania love to go to Italy. That's like their big thing,
Absolutely adore it. Yeah.
right?
Well, Spain
All
is
right.
Spain is the runner-up, but Italy, yeah, absolutely, probably.
Okay. Yeah. All right. And I think you mentioned that you sort of joked that Romania doesn't publicize themselves. Like there's not a Romanian tourism bureau. Like because I've never seen a commercial
No.
here on TV. Hey, come to Romania. You're gonna love it. There's no
No.
advertising.
There's no
Why is that? Are we not ready for this, or what's the deal?
That's a great question. I'm not really sure. I think it's just well, you should ask our politicians. I don't know. We did have a minister of tourism a while back, and everyone was laughing at her because she was like everybody said. Well, she got in that position because she's the lover of the then president. Well, it's a whole thing.
It's the whole thing. So it's okay. It's okay. Wow, sounds like there might be a job opening somewhere. I'm about to retire here in the States, so maybe I'll put in an application. I have some ideas. How we can grow the Romanian Tourism Bureau. Elsa, do you have a question for Alexandra? Especially coming from your perspective.
From my perspective, that's very interesting, the kebab and the shawarma thing, because this is also very similar in Lebanon for the same reason, because like we were also under the Ottoman Empire for a very long time. And my question is basically more about I mean, I know that you've been to many countries, but like I would love to know like if you had like one funny anecdote in one of your travels in one of some countries, or some like particular experience that you will say, this is something that's gonna stay with me.
Oh, that's a great question. There must have been many things that occurred where in the moment I thought, this is isn't this something? But I think it's like the things that really stick with me now that I think about it aren't really, these like big events or like big. I've seen some big events as well. Because I was, for instance, in Egypt. I was like in 2012, I think, when there was the protesting going on in the street, and that
The
was
Arab
pretty.
Spring.
Yeah, and so I was there at the time, so that was a big thing, and that kind of sticks with you. But I think that's not so. Even now, when I think back, when I think of Egypt, that's not the thing that kind of. That's not the big thing for me. Like a big thing for me was when I was, I wasn't driving, but I was in a car and we were driving on this highway, and the highway was going through the desert, and it's just desert to the left and desert to the right, and that's an experience because it was so. I don't know, that kind of stuck with me because you don't see that every day. It's just I had this feeling that they can only have right in that type of environment. Or, but probably like the biggest thing, but it's gonna be like from the same category as a, desert highway thing, is when I was flying from Cairo to Bucharest. It was I don't remember what time it was, but it was like maybe the flight started somewhere around midnight, maybe after midnight. And I remember being on the plane, and as we were flying, from Cairo to Bucharest. I think I was on I was facing west, right? So I was looking out the window, and it was dark, right? It was night, and I remember, at a certain point, looking out the other window, the one facing east, and it was morning, and I think that's like, just flying, in the middle, between night and day.
Yeah.
That's probably that, yeah.
Yeah, I remember this. It happened to me also. a couple times.
It's like it's such a surreal thing. I'll never forget that. I hope I get to experience it again. But yeah. So you see, it's nothing. I don't know. Maybe it's not as interesting for other people, right? Because it's not some big event. But it's mostly things like that kind of gets stuck in my brain.
Well, it's the closest to space travel that you're going to get, right? So when you're looking on one side, it's dark. The other side, it's daytime. It's like, well, there you go. It's definitely different. Not everybody gets to experience that. Luke has a question for you. Luke's been dying to say something.
You mentioned about the infrastructure in Romania, the lack of trains and stuff like that. So if you was going to visit Bucharest and then you wanted to visit Dracula's castle as well in the same trip, would that be possible?
Yeah, I mean, it is possible. It just takes a long time. You can do it. It's not but we don't really have a lot of, we don't have, like, our roads, they're not in best condition, and you're going to have to, like, drive slowly, and you're going to be, stuck in traffic for a while. But yeah, it is possible. You just have to manage your expectations, basically. But it's possible, yeah. You can also take the train. Actually, there's if you want to visit that area, because it's so, it's so popular, of course, with both Romanian and foreign tourists. Yeah, there is a train. I think that's one of the good ones. I think that's one of the good trains in this country. So meaning that it travels at a faster speed than the average. So yeah, I mean, it is possible. It is possible to see whatever you want to see, but just expect to maybe spend a little longer than you would like to on the road.
And English is spoken pretty much all over, or am I gonna have a problem? Because I'm already doing Duolingo for Spanish. I don't really have much more time for more Duolingo for Romanian. Well, I don't know. Is that the language? Is Romanian a language?
Yeah, Romanian is a language, yeah. And
okay.
Here's the thing. First of all, if you're learning Spanish, we do understand Spanish because it's also a Romance language. So. And our grandmothers used to watch a lot of telenovelas, right? A lot of soap operas, and everyone here understands Spanish, to some degree, but English as well. Yeah, English as well. We study English, and starting with kindergarten, I think, and then all throughout school. So yeah.
And the currency? What the currency? How do we know? What are we doing there? What is the currency?
Is called it's called Romanian leu. That's what we call it in Romanian. And it's the only. I mean, we're not using the euro just yet. So yeah, you're still gonna have to use the local currency, which is leu. Yeah.
Do you feel like I wonder if the dollar or the pound is strong in Romania? Or is your currency stronger than ours? I wonder what the exchange rate is. I wonder, is it Well, I wonder if is it expensive? If I go to the Philippines, I know my dollar is very strong. If I go to Japan, back in the day, the yen was so powerful. One pint of beer was like 10 American dollars. In America, it's $1.50. I'm saying? It's like very expensive. So is Romanian? Is that an expensive place to visit?
No, it's not an expensive place to visit. Although it's becoming more and more expensive. So I think it's like right now it's probably more expensive than Portugal, for instance. It is becoming expensive. But to answer your question very specifically, I think $1 equals like 4 Romanian leu, something like that. I haven't really checked it today.
That's okay. You're not here as a financial expert. We're not doing any exchanging of currency now. But I just was curious, what to expect when I go to McDonald's. When I get myself a La Grande Big Mac or whatever, if I get a coffee, is it going to really hurt my wallet?
No.
But all right.
No.
Yeah.
It's not really.
Luke,
apologies if you can hear any noise on my side. I think my neighbour's trying to knock his house down or something.
Yeah.
So I'm a bit confused about where Dracula's castle is, Alexandra. Is it in Bran or is it in Brasov?
It's in Bran. It's near Brasov. So people will sort of use it interchangeably because in order to get to Bran, you kind of have to go through Brasov because Brasov is like the main city, and I guess Bran is sort of like a satellite around it, right? So people were just kind of using it interchangeably, but it's near Brasov, yeah. It's near Brasov, and you can get there very easily once you get to Brasov. Pretty sure they also have like tourist buses and all sorts of like guided trips you can you can sign up for. So it's not in Brasov, but it's it's close by. Yeah.
So, Alexander, you also seem to be, well, everybody seems to me to be very young. In Romania, do the young stay in Romania, or is it always the conversation, I'm going to university, I'm getting out of this country, I'm going somewhere else? What is that like, in
I think
Romania?
if you look at the statistics, I think Romanians are this. Romania is a country with the second largest number of migrants after Syria, and Syrian people were running away from war, and and Romania is like the second after that when it comes to migrants volume. So. Young people don't really but this is again this is something embedded in our culture a little bit because our parents, my parents at least, or and usually the parents of my generation, they sort of instill that in us that you have to do your best to get out of here, because they grew up in communism, right, and they were young, still young, when at the fall of communism, but the transition to democracy was it took a long time. It was a very confusing time, extremely high inflation, extremely poor work conditions, as you can imagine, when it comes to such a transition. And it was kind of instilled in us to sort of do our best to leave, find a way to go abroad. So maybe, probably that will slow down a bit because right now, for instance, when it comes to wages in certain industries, it's just not worth going abroad because you can get the same salary in Romania, but with lower cost of living. Which is my case, for instance, because I work in tech, and I don't really need to, I'll get, sort of similar salary to what I could get in other parts of Europe, but with much lower cost of living. So probably it's just gonna become less and less of a thing. But for a long time, young people were sort of looking forward to moving abroad one way or another.
So, talking about migrants from Romania,
Right.
I have some friends, Romanian friends in the UK.
Yeah.
And I've been to some Romanian restaurants in the UK as well. And we were eating Mama Liga,
Okay.
we were eating Somali as well.
Right. There's a lot of controversy around Romanian foods, right? Because every other country in the region is kind of claiming the same foods, which is legit because they all have the same origin in this general area, right? I'm just very curious now to learn, what did you think about it? How did you find it?
Well, I've never eaten Mama Liga before. I didn't know what it was to begin with. Because it's kind of I thought it was mashed potato at first.
Yeah, I see how how that could come about. But did you like it? Did you like sarmale is one of the one of the dishes that the Romanian people always praise. Did you like it?
Yeah, it was good.
You don't have to say that just because I'm here. I don't like.
Tell her the truth, Luke. Tell her the truth. She wants to know.
No, because I
He's
don't like
asking you.
it. Honestly, I don't like it, and everyone will start a fight with me because I don't like it.
Luke, you had a question.
Yes.
I don't want to put you on the spot, but we had a previous conversation earlier in the week about a myth. Yeah, this would be a good time.
I wanted to dispel a myth. Yeah, this is what I want this podcast to be about: to dispel myths and to not just this, but inspire people to travel. Because I have colleagues at work, and they tell me, "Oh, I can't travel because it's too expensive." Well, you can go to Spain for £30 easily, or it's not that expensive. They just find excuses. And there's a myth in Romania that I want to dispel for our listeners, that people think oh, it's just full of crime, it's just full of gypsies. It's actually not true. It's actually not true. I have some stats here.
Right.
So the crime in Romania
Right.
is 39% less than in Japan.
Yeah.
It's 75% less than America as well.
Yes, the crime rate here is very low. You're not gonna. I mean, it's such a. Romania is a very safe country, and it probably. I mean, it used to. This used to not be the case, right? In the '90s, things were different. But yes, nowadays it's very safe. It's a very safe country to travel to. It doesn't matter if you don't speak the language. It doesn't. The worst thing that can happen to you is that someone might try to scam you. You know, to buy some. I don't know what. But that's about it. I mean, and probably some pickpocketing if you go to, I don't know, certain areas of Bucharest. In Cluj, for instance, where I live, that I haven't heard. Not even that is a thing. Like, it's just, you never hear about it. So yeah, that is actually true. It's very low crime rate here. You feel like really safe, even in more. I don't know, like the city I live in, it's particularly safe. But even if you go to like less, I guess, if you go to like Bucharest or if you go to wherever you go, no, you're just not gonna come across that. It's just unusual, yeah, here.
I'm sure there's scams in every city, in every country in the world, though, and yeah, so it happens everywhere.
What happens everywhere? Sorry.
Scams.
Oh,
like
scams. Yeah.
people trying to pickpocket you or trying to say buy this, buy that.
Yeah.
When it's just absolute rubbish they're trying to sell.
Right. But even that is like very rarely are you gonna run into that. I was thinking, I brought that up just thinking a little bit about Bucharest because they do have this kind of. Or well, rather, Bucharest is the city that's more prone to having this like hustle mentality, for like lack of a better word, but not really. I mean, it's very rarely that you would come across that. I don't know. I can't really. For instance, myself, I care. Oh, here's one thing. No, actually, yeah, there is one thing that does happen, which is like taxi driver will try to charge you more than what a trip is worth. Like that is very, that is a known issue, I guess, in Bucharest. But that's about it. Like that's the most popular scam, I suppose, if you want to call it that. Yeah.
All right.
But
there you go.
We have Uber and we have Bolt, and so you don't have to even, you don't even have to run into that. So.
Yeah. So last episode, Elsa was telling us, I think it was Dubai, that was very, very safe. Like at night, it was incredibly safe. So you find a woman in Romania walking at night, 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock p.m. I don't know if you have a nightlife there. I assume you do to a certain extent. They're coming out of the pub or whatever you call it. It's safe. You could be alone or two women or whatever.
Yeah, it's safe to be alone. I mean, of course, personally, I wouldn't do that just because I'm kind of used to not doing that, from traveling and not doing that in other parts of the world, I suppose, that I'm not as familiar with, so I don't necessarily know. Like, you can read statistics, right? And I do enjoy that, even just as a pastime. But you're not really, like, you don't, like, if you don't know, if you're not there, you don't know the vibe, so to speak. It's like, or at least my choice is to not necessarily do that. So I don't do that much. I'm also 34, right? I really do, like, I have other stuff to do in the morning. I don't really.
Okay. Right.
Okay.
But there is a police presence. There is some law enforcement. Okay, so it's.
There is law enforcement, but also like Romanian people are not necessarily into that kind of crime, I guess. Like you're gonna have a more if.
It's got to be more convincing.
Yeah, no, I don't know. Yeah, it's just not. It doesn't happen really that much.
All right. Well, it sounds like Romania has moved up my list of places to go because, just like Lucas said, I never see a commercial for it. I don't. Do you have a democratic government? Do you have a president or a prime minister? Right.
Yeah.
What's that?
We have both, actually. We have a president and a prime minister. President is has more diplomatic role. The prime minister is, more the executive power.
Okay.
So it's
All right.
yeah. But yeah, we do have.
Sounds like a decent place. Sounds like it could be on the up and up. Coming up if they would just hire somebody to be in charge of advertising and marketing and all that stuff. I'm gonna make a phone call, see what I can do on Monday. Maybe there's a spot for me, and I love to publish. It sounds like a nice place to visit. Very rural if you want. There's mountains. There's food. I'm assuming there's culture. You have your museums, your theater. I assume, right? Maybe some Western music comes through every so often.
All
No?
the time.
All the time. All the time. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's for Romania is a country for all ages, 20, 30, 40. You can find yourself something to do for a week.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
yeah. So it's a also if you're a young person, you want to party. There are festivals, you can do that. There are nightclubs, of course. And if you want to, if we're, I guess, more mature, we also have there's a trend here in people from I don't know, Western countries retiring in Romania, buying a house in some village and just
Wow.
retiring. Yeah. So.
Wow. In Brazil, they call them gringos, right, Luke?
Yeah,
You're a gringo. If you're America's expats or something like that, and they go to another country with their American money, and it's good. So I will talk to my wife later when we get back and say, hey, Romania, what do you think? Maybe we'll put that on the list. Luke's going to Budapest and what was the other place you're going to, right? So we're all right.
Yeah.
Switzerland I've been to, and Elsa's always traveling mostly for work, but we have a lot to talk about. We have places to go, things to do. Luke, do you have anything else off Alexandria? Because we're coming up on an hour, and I think that's a lot of travel talk I think we've covered a lot.
I have a couple more questions.
Oh, there you go. We're going over. I'm going to get paid time and a half now.
After my research this week, I saw that Romania has the heaviest building in the world.
Yeah.
And it's the second biggest administrative building in the world as well.
I don't know if that's true. There's a lot of mythology around that, as we still haven't figured it out. Still haven't gotten to the bottom of it. But the heaviest, I think that is true. Yeah, that's the people's house, Casa Poporului, we call it in Romanian, which was built by our former dictator Nicolae Ceausescu. He wanted to build it using 100% Romanian, materials, and it is actually made 100%, everything, from the whatever, from the screws to the wood to whatever, it's 100% produced in Romania. So, and it also costs a lot of money, of course, and a lot of human suffering. But yes, it's impressive to visit if you ever get the chance. Even for me, speaking of, like we've already talked about it, we don't visit the things that are closest to us. I only saw it this summer for the first time.
Wow. The heaviest building?
Yeah.
It's the heaviest. We know it has a weight, and it's the heaviest.
It is.
Yeah.
How do you measure a weight of a building? Come on, you will not put it on a scale.
Like the commercial luggage thing. You have a spring, and you pull on the roof, and then, 3 million pounds. All right, that's the heaviest. Who's going to argue? I mean, that should be in the brochure right there. The travel, when I take over the tourism bureau, I'm going to push that country as the country with the heaviest building. We, like in America, we have the biggest ball of yarn. We have the tallest, fake lumberjack thing. We have all these biggest, and you drive around the country and it's just this thing on the side of the road. But that's interesting. Elsa and I are both very surprised. Whoever knew that there would be a heaviest building in the world? That's in the world,
Yeah,
Luke?
exactly.
In the world?
It is, yeah.
I'm also,
Okay.
Yeah, I'm also
And
curious as to,
only the Pentagon is bigger than that building as well.
The Pentagon
Pentagon
in my
is
country is bigger, but they have the heaviest.
Yeah.
All right, whatever. Sounds crazy. I've never heard of this in my life. All right,
yeah.
all right. Luke, what else you got?
I need to check my notes now.
Okay. All right. So, does Alexandra? So, when you travel via an airport, does Romania have a decent airport, or Are we just flying in a prop plane, or, so we have a real airport?
No,
I'm sorry.
one of the reasons why I like the city that I live in now and why I chose to set up my base here, so to speak, it's because it does have an airport.
Okay.
And yeah, it's just a regular airport. Although the airport in Bucharest can be pretty confusing for no reason. And yeah, I mean, it's such a, things can be, a lot of things in Romania can be done so much easier, but like Romanians like to complicate things needlessly a lot of the time. But yeah, and we're also part of Schengen, as of a month or two ago. I don't know, I don't even remember. But it like very recently became part of Schengen, so now, yeah, we can pretty much travel throughout throughout most European countries with no checks. So yeah,
All right.
nothing out of the ordinary there.
And you work remotely, you said.
Yeah.
So your broadband, your Wi-Fi, your whole thing, that whole internet system with good communications. It's a country that has figured that out.
It actually, I think I've just heard this very recently from a friend of mine. I think one of our smaller towns is like the hacking capital of the world. And I think Romania has either the fastest internet or like it's up there, internet speed in the world. So yeah, like even if I remember traveling to the UK a while back, and I was so shocked to see like I actually had to wait for a video to load on YouTube. I don't know if that's the case still. Not to like put you on the spot, but
Right.
But a few years back, I was very surprised to see that. No, it's very good. We have very good internet speed. So.
Right. Interesting. All right. So they figured that out. So that's good. All right. Anything else, Luke or Elsa?
Alexandra, your English is really good. So, did you learn English in school, or did you learn it because of travel and stuff like that?
Well, first of all, thank you. I learned it because, everybody learns it starting with kindergarten, and especially in the 90s. So I remember, I was born exactly in 1990, so 1 year, after the fall of communism, and we immediately got a lot of American media, and it wasn't in other countries like Germany, they dub movies and things like that. We don't do that in Romania with anything ever. And so I was just exposed from a very young age to a lot of American media. And then, combine that with just learning it in school a lot. We had a lot of English classes in school. But also my whole life I've worked for American companies, so that's also a thing. So my whole adult life I've almost exclusively worked with American companies. So that probably helps the most.
What do you do for a job?
I'm a data analyst right now. Yeah, trying to go more into data science. But yeah, data analyst.
So I'm happy to end the podcast there if everyone's happy. I think this has been our best podcast so far. It's been smooth. It's been good.
That doesn't say much.
No, it's fine. It's fine. No, it's good, Alexandra. We really do get a big kick out of the magic of the internet. Where we are. I mean, you're the first Romanian we've had, and probably not the last. It's sounds fascinating. It's on my list now. I never thought about going to Romania, and definitely the idea of being in charge of the Bureau of Tourism really excites me. I think other than data analyzation, you might want to consider that as well. You seem to have a good a good grip on the situation there as well. So, and you are right. I got to tell you, I'm looking. I got the Google Maps here, and maybe you can see it. When you expand Romania, there are no green. Can you see that? There's no green lines. But if you go to over here, let me see if I can do it. You see, wait, hold on a second. I'll show you. You can see all the roads in Europe. These are all the green roads. These are all roads, right? But when you go to Romania, it's like a little green nothing, right? Like there's very little in Romania. There you go. Those are your roads. Your infrastructure needs work. It's amazing. I didn't know that. So I'd like that job too, to be in the Department of Highways. So I have a future because I am planning on retiring. So we can laugh all about it all you want. I think it's a possibility.
No,
They'd like me there.
I think we desperately need that more than even more than the tourism thing.
Sounds good. Yes, we need. Well, of course, you have to have roads. How are you going to get to see the heaviest building in the world, or to the airport, or to the Black Sea? Do you go to the Black Sea a lot? Because I see that's the only part that's on the water. Is that a big tourism area? That's where the beach is.
It is. Yeah, it is. But it's gotten a bit expensive lately. So Romanians like to go to Greece a lot.
Right.
Or Bulgaria, or we already mentioned like Italy, and But yeah, it is like you can definitely go. It's very nice, But it's not first of all, like if you ask me personally, it's not as spectacular as some other parts of or Europe when it comes to like beaches and things like that. But it's there. It's nice. It's there. It's there.
Yeah. It's there. All right, there you go. It's on the list. All right, Elsa, you have anything before we go? I know we've talked a lot, and you're
Yes,
good.
you already covered a lot of things. Yes, I'm good, but I'm very excited now, and also Romania now is on my list.
There you go. There you go. We've accomplished something, right, Luke? You did good here. You've uncovered myths that aren't true, and we've shared it. Nobody knows about Romania. I know. It's never come up in my life. Anybody, my friends, my family, nobody's ever said, I just got back from Romania. Or guess what? I'm going to Romania. It's always Florida, Italy, and Canada, things like that. So there you go.
Well, I think, sorry to interrupt.
That's okay.
Luke has a very different experience, I'm sure, because so many Romanian migrants are there in the UK. He probably hears it every day. I've just been to Romania. It's probably something that he has a lot of experience with.
Okay.
And also even the king, right? King Charles. He actually visits Transylvania quite often. If I recall correctly, I don't know when he was here last time, but he does visit a lot, a certain part of Transylvania. Yeah.
Fantastic. All right, Luke.
So I just want to say before we go, I would like Christine. I would like Alexandra to stay as part of the team because I think she spoke very well on this podcast, and I would like to drop a teaser for a future podcast if Alexandra is willing to come back. She's actually lived in Egypt, so I'm sure she's got some fascinating things to tell us about that as well. So that should be on our list for another podcast in the future.
Sounds good. Alexandra, the invitation is out there. You will let Luke know. You don't have to answer right now. It's one of those things that you consider, right, Luke? That's okay?
Yes.
I want to go out on a good, happy note. That's good. Yeah, we'd love to hear about all that. And so you want to shut this down? But nobody should leave right away, by the way. There's a way this system works. We have to I don't know how you explain it. So let's say goodbye, but don't shut off your browser. Is that what you want to tell them, Luke?
Yes.
Yeah, something like that. All right. So, Luke, I'll let you say goodbye. I've spoken too much. Elsa, it was good to see you. Luke, good to see you. Alexandra, it was great to meet you. Everybody, World Travel Podcast Studio. We're on Facebook. We're on YouTube. Luke is taking care of all the social media, and we're trying to expand. And we'd love to hear your comments. If you have questions about Romania, we like to hear it. We want to hear from you. So go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, everyone. It was a great podcast this week. It was very smooth. No one's phone was ringing. No, yeah, it was good this week. It's been our best one so far. So we're getting there and we're improving as a team.
Great to meet everyone.
Yes.
All right, Luke, hit the button.